name's Emily Hare. I'm a Global Content Strategy Director at Publicis. So that means I sit on the global content team there, and we're connected to the local content teams around the world. So I have a particular focus on influencer, but really looking at any kind of ways that we can connect with consumers through content, how people are changing where they spend time, and what's effective. I think I'd say the most interesting part is looking at how behaviours are changing and then thinking about how we can apply that to the content we make or the partnership deals that we do. So, if gaming is becoming increasingly prominent, could we have, for example, a virtual influencer on Twitch? Or like, what are the kind of exciting opportunities that people maybe haven't seen before that are going to really get them excited? So it's kind of looking out for those, looking for best practice within the company that we can share and make sure everyone's learning from good work that we're doing, and looking at who we could partner with that might be able to help us do that more effectively.
Got it. And what's the most tiring one?
The most tiring one?
Yeah. What's the most tiring part of your job?
I don't know, Excel, spreadsheets, budgeting costs, that kind of thing. Yes, so I'm thinking about influencer because that's probably the area I work in most prominently. And it really depends, first of all, like what the client's looking to achieve, and that's going to affect the KPIs.
Yeah.
So generally, and then within whatever platform you're using or whatever area you're specializing in, there are certain things that you can track or not track. So with an influencer, it's relatively easy to track things like reach and engagement. But I think we're getting more into how can you track kind of harder ROI metrics, like, say, driving an e-commerce sale or adding something to a basket. So yeah, that's where we're getting into some of the like harder ROI metrics, which, I mean, particularly if you think about the kind of current state of world economy and stuff like that, I think lots of marketers are going to be looking for those kind of opportunities to like prove what they're doing and see the value really clearly beyond the kind of reach or engagement metric.
No, it makes sense. And data is becoming so critical right now for everything that you do, right? How do you utilize data to really get to a point saying this is a good data versus bad data, right? Especially from what you're executing right now.
Yeah, so I mean, we have access to good platforms that we really kind of vet and know are supplying us with strong, high quality data. So whether that's like partnerships with social platforms or access to different whole range of tools, search analytics, all that sort of thing. But yeah, like you say, there's a huge amount of data that you can tap into. So it's thinking about what's going to be relevant, making sure that what you're using is most effective. So one of the pieces that we offer at Publicis actually is kind of content consultancy piece, and this is really interesting way of using data to kind of look at what a brand is doing, look at what competitor set are doing, and look at where the white spaces are and what kind of topics that brand might have a right to speak about on, say, a social channel, or what are people going to be interested in hearing about, and see where the overlaps are. So it means that actually when you come to producing campaigns, it's much more effective because you're operating and writing and creating content that people want to hear about. So I'd say quality every time, like the amount of that consultancy team I was talking about, when you look at an analysis of how a brand's content that they're producing is performing, very often you see a kind of peak and then a very rapid drop off. So there are a few pieces that perform incredibly well and have really high engagement levels and are really hitting all the KPIs that you want. And then there's this long tail of loads of pieces of content that get very little engagement, get very little, like, just aren't very effective. And so you want to be producing the pieces that are up here and not the pieces that are down here. This is like a waste of everyone's time and energy and effort. True. So that's why I'd say, like, quality. You're a marketer, you've got a limited budget, you want to be doing things that are effective and are going to make a difference. So then creating a plan around that, you start at the very beginning thinking, like, what are your customers interested in hearing about? What do you have a right to speak about? What is going to line up with what you want to talk about as a company, and then see where those three things overlap, and that is a starting point for your strategy. Yeah, and then focus on we talk about fewer, bigger, better. So trying to do less, but put your energy, your effort, your skill set into the pieces that are going to outperform. And then you think about boosting those pieces with media spend so they can reach as wider an audience as possible.